Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March 18th City Council meeting. At this time, could I please have Pastor Nathan Olgain from Calvary Baptist Church come forward for the opening prayer.
Gracious God, on behalf of all who are gathered here this day, we thank you for your abundant blessings of life and the measure of health that we've needed to fulfill our callings. We thank you for the freedom to participate in useful work and for the honor of bearing our appropriate responsibilities. We thank you as well, Lord God, for the freedom to worship you or to choose not to worship at all. In Scripture, you've directed your people to obey the governing and authorities, and since you've established them to promote peace, order, and justice, we do such. Therefore, we pray for our mayor, for the various levels of city officials, and in particular for this assembled council. We ask that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues, a sense of the welfare for the true needs of our citizens, a keen interest in justice and righteousness, a confidence in what is good and appropriate, and an ability to work together in harmony even when there's honest disagreement. We also ask your blessing of personal peace for those on this council in their lives and joy in their service to our community. We pray for the agenda set before them, and please give them an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city of Los Banos. This we pray in Christ's name, amen.
I'd like to call to order the March 18th, 2015 meeting of the City of Los Banos City Council. And Chief, would you lead us in the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Mrs. Souza, can we please have roll call?
Faria. Here. Lewis. Here. Silvera. Present. Stonegrove. Here. Balota.
Here. Item number 4, consideration of approval of agenda. Do I have a motion? Mr. Silvera.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Faria.
Second.
Motion by Silvera, second by Faria to approve the agenda as stated. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, public forum. Do we have a little feedback here, Rick? Two notches?
2 notches.
Okay. How's that? Is that better? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Item number 5, public forum. Members of the public may address the City Council members on any item of public interest that is within the jurisdiction of the City Council, which includes agenda and non-agenda items. No action will be taken on non-agenda items. Speakers are limited to a 5-minute presentation, and detailed guidelines are posted on the Council Chamber informational table. Okay, after the music, we will. When you approach the podium, please state your name and city of residence, and if you would, please place your cell phones, computers, and any other audio device on vibrate or turn them off. Do we have anyone who'd like to speak at the public forum time?
Good evening, Jerry Canuster from Los Banos, California. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and city staff and council staff. I wanted to let you know that yesterday we had a seminar on hydraulic fracking on Senate Bill 4, and we had that seminar was packed, it was full, it was very successful, it was good, it was well presented, and so we're just happy to announce that. And that's just part of some of the Chamber of Commerce things that we want to do. We wanted to present something to the city and to our chamber members as well as the public at large. The next item we have for tomorrow is called the Women's Safety in the Workplace. It's going to be at 12 o'clock, Españas. There's no fee. It's free to participate. There's a lunch buffet available for $12.99 if you so desire. Otherwise, you can just sit and listen to the seminar on women's safety in the workplace. Then also on May 14th at 12 o'clock, another thing that the Chamber will sponsor is labor law for 2015. So if you're an employer and you're interested about knowing about labor law, please come and attend this seminar. It's at Españas. No fee to participate, and once again, lunch buffet will be provided by Españas for $12.99. Again, that's May 14th at 12 o'clock at Españas. Also, we have a couple of workshops that we're working on. One is called customer service, and the other one is online marketing skills, but we haven't got a date on that yet. So if you're interested in marketing, in customer service skills, and also online marketing for your business, how to use web and social media, we're going to do that for that workshop. Ribbon cutting, March 26th at 10 a.m., Sandoval Bail Bonds. There will be a ribbon cutting there, and they're located at 560 J Street in the old former Don Hughes photography shop. And the other one we're having a ribbon cutting is the Los Banos Steakhouse. They just joined the chamber. And that ribbon cutting will be Thursday, April the 2nd at 1 p.m. So you're all invited to come. Our chamber mixer is March 26th at the Office City at 5:30. It's going to be in conjunction with their anniversary. The Los Banos DES drive-through fish dinner is going to be held March the 27th from 4:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Tickets are $20, and you can call 752-5717 for the tickets. Also, on the 27th is the Los Banos Rotary Crab Feed at the Los Banos Fairgrounds. Doors will be open at 6:30 p.m. Tickets are $55 each and includes 2 free drinks. Contact Mark Benton at 704-0014 or any Rotary member. And don't forget, the Downtown Spring Street Fair is going to be Saturday, April the 18th from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. And what I have here, one more thing too here. The Merced County, the Board of Supervisors, are doing their annual call right now for volunteer recognition program. And I had the form here if you want to volunteer somebody for the volunteer program for the year of 2015. The forms are at the Chamber of Commerce office, and they're also at the website www.co.merced.ca.us/volunteer. And lastly, not least, I have here a raffle wreath. This is called Luck of the Irish, $1 a ticket or $5 for 6 ticket, and the Scratcher raffle wreath. Try your luck this month on our March raffle wreath in here. The wreath itself is not given to you, but the contents is. You win the contents, and it's $40 worth of lotto tickets. Okay, come see the chamber if you're wanting to buy a ticket. That will also help the chamber in their funds program there. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak at the public forum?
My name is Eric Lamone, resident of Los Banos, employee for Public Services. Good evening, Your Honorable Mayor, City Manager, Attorney, and council members. I had a good conversation with your dad over the weekend, Mr. Mayor, and good conversations as I was consuming some ice cream, and my son obviously had to go for that reason. But I wanted to remind our residents about our annual spring cleanup Saturday, March 28th between the hours of 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Bring all your unwanted items for free. We ask that you do not bring any household hazardous waste materials. Tires will be collected, no more than 9 per customer. State law requires you obtain a tire permit prior if you carry more than 9. You can place 2 gallons of oil at your curbside during your route day, as well as oil filters in a sealed container. Please arrive early as lines develop quickly. I will be at City Hall with an informational booth, handing out recycling flyers, and will answer any info pertaining to your trash service needs. Thank you.
And cleanup again is when?
March 28th.
March 28th. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak at the public forum? Not seeing or hearing anyone, I will now close the public forum and go on to item 6, consideration of approval of consent agenda. Items on a consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be voted on in one motion unless removed from the consent agenda by a city council member. And Mr. Souza, tonight we have?
Items on the consent agenda are as follows. Check register for number 152104 through 152342 in the amount of $737,330.39. City Council Resolution number 5645, authorizing entering into a First Amendment to lease agreement between the City of Los Banos and Ferrera Ranches, Ltd., for the purpose of leasing pasture land located at the City of Los Banos wastewater treatment plant, 17963 West Henry Miller Road. And the recommendation is to approve all items as submitted.
Thank you. Is there any city council member who would like to remove an item for discussion? If not, can I have a motion? Mr. Freya?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Mr. Silvera?
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Faria, second by Silvera to approve the consent agenda as stated. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None. Carried. Let's go on to item 7, public hearing. If you challenge a proposed action as described herein in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing described herein or in written correspondence delivered to the city at or prior to the public hearing. Item 7A, public hearing. To receive public comment in consideration of the amendment to the development agreement relative to the villages at Stone Creek 2A and 3, generally located on the southwest quadrant of the city of Los Banos, west of Badger Flat Road, north of Pioneer Road, and south of Walmart Shopping Center. Item 7A1, ordinance number 1127, approving First Amendment to the development agreement relative to the development known as the Villages at Stone Creek 2A and 3, making certain findings relative thereto and authorizing the mayor to execute said agreement on behalf of the city. And we will go to City Attorney Vaughn for an explanation.
Before they do that, Mayor,
Yes.
Stacy Elms has a statement to make.
Okay, let's go to Stacy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. I live within 500 feet of this project, and I will need to recuse myself, but I'll turn it over to our city attorney to present the project for you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll give you time to exit.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I could have that first map. I get props tonight. I like it.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, up on the screen is a map of the area that we're talking about tonight, so I wanted to get you a little bit of orientation as to where this development is and what's around it and so on and so forth. So this is in the Stone Creek South area. The faint red line that you see around that area is what is called the Stone Creek South Area Plan. It's bounded generally to the north by Pacheco Boulevard, to the east by Ortega Lita Road, and then a couple landmarks. The rectangular piece kind of to the right, upper right part of the map is the new junior high school site. I don't think, and then just below that I think is Ortega Lita Park. And I think you can see some pretty big rooftops on the right-hand corner of that map, and that would be the old Lowe's building, Target, and Walmart. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a perspective. I think Badger Flat Road kind of bisects in a north-south direction about in the middle of that map. The area highlighted in yellow is the area that we're talking about tonight. The area in red is about 493 total acres. And like I said, it's part of the Stone Creek South Area Plan. The area in the yellow is a part of that, and it's approximately 79 acres. And so we'll zoom in on that. And that's the area in yellow that we're talking about tonight. And that's development known as Villages 2A and 3. And Villages 2A and 3 was approved back in 2005. At that time, the developers and the proponents of the development was Anderson Homes, Larry Anderson and his wife. Since that time, you can tell the property, the portion to the north, you can see rooftops, and I think you can actually see those little tags are actually addresses. So the upper portion of the development where you see little tags with addresses, that's the part of the tentative map that's been finalized. And the ones that have been finalized, I believe, my statistics tell me that there's 155 lots have been finalized. 56 of those have homes on them right now as we speak, and 97 of them are actual vacant lots that are ready to be developed anytime someone pulls a building permit. The development has a total area of 287 lots. Now the portion to the bottom part of the map, where all you can see is streets and improvements, that is going to have, let's see, I don't know if I have the statistics on how many lots. Oh, I think there's 155 lots left down in that area. But those are tentative map lots. And so that's the area that we're talking about. In 2005, a tentative map was approved by the Planning Commission and the City Council. A final development plan was approved by the Planning Commission, and I believe that's a City Council approval as well. And along with that, a development agreement. The development agreement expires in June, I believe, of this year. The applicant, an investment group who now owns the property, other than parcels that have been built on, is looking to extend the development agreement for an additional 5 years. The legal effect of extending the development agreement will be it will extend the tentative map on the portion of the development that hasn't been finalized, which would be basically the portion to the bottom where you can see that there aren't any individual lots denoted there. So they're basically an investment group. Because of the slow economy, they haven't finalized those lots in the 10 years during the life of the development agreement. They finalized essentially half of them, and they have half of them to go. So the next step in the development would be, on that tentative map, would be to meet all of the conditions of the tentative map, and I think there's like over 200 conditions of that tentative map. So they would need to meet all of the conditions. It looks like they've already done some of the conditions, which would be the streets and the gutters, I think, and the curbs, I think I can see there. And then there would be a number of other conditions that they would have to meet before they can final the map. The significance of finaling the map is then they will have 150 some odd lots that can be built on and sold. So it's very expensive to do all of this processing, and so what they're attempting to do tonight, or asking you to do, is extend the development agreement, because the development agreement will extend the tentative map another 5 years. It'll give them another 5 years to wait out the economy, meet all of the conditions of the tentative map, final those lots, and pull building permits. Staff has looked at the request, and there's really no reason not to extend the development agreement. The development agreement does some good things for the city. And if it wasn't extended, we would be looking at processing another tentative map for the area that expires. It would expire 1 year from June 15th of this year, and that would essentially be duplicative work that's already been done. As I noted, the whole project is within the Stone Creek Area Plan, which is very detailed as to what it's to look like in terms of the architecture, the way the streets are laid out, the way the lots will be laid out, how the houses will be set on the lots. The final development plan is because it's a requirement anytime they get what's called PD zoning, and so that has further conditions and restrictions on what the development will look like, and it will look very similar, and it'll be a continuation of the lots to the north that already have existing houses on them. So in looking at it, it's a good thing to make sure that there's some continuity in that development and within that area plan, and not to go through another entire processing and probably end up with the exact same product that you're looking at tonight. One of the things that we did require in negotiating the amendment and the extension was was a little better language in favor of the city on the lighting and landscaping district out there. The applicant has agreed to the language in the original development agreement. There was no language regarding lighting and landscaping. It was found in the tentative map portion of the processing, and it's like a one-line, you shall annex to or form a lighting and landscaping district, and it doesn't say anything else other than that. That is not the language that we use anymore. We use much more comprehensive language, and the language that is in the amendment is language that will require those new lots, not the ones that are already final, but the new lots will pay their proportionate share of whatever that lighting and landscaping district is funding, which I don't know what that particular lighting and landscaping district is funding, but I would guess it would be landscaping of public improvements, lighting, things like that, the walls and the kind of the common areas, I think, that you see there on Cardoza Road, so on and so forth. So those lots to the south theoretically will be paying more than the lots to the north, because I don't know that the lots to the north are actually paying their pro rata share of what it's costing to operate that lighting and landscaping district because of the structure of those districts at the time. So that's a big benefit to the city, is to try to start moving towards those lighting and landscaping districts to be self-sufficient. We've conferred with our Public Works Director on the language, talked to him about it, and he's good with the language that we used in terms of amending the lighting and landscaping district. So there's basically two amendments tonight. The amendment extending the 5 years of the 5-year extension on the development agreement, which will automatically extend the tentative map 5 years, and then the lighting and landscaping district language that I just went through. So this has already been to the Planning Commission. Planning Commission, I believe, approved it unanimously, recommending approval. It's now before you. The process before you, because it's a development agreement, it has to be by ordinance. And so what we'd be asking you tonight would be to introduce the first, waive the first reading and introduce the ordinance, and then obviously then continue the public hearing to the next meeting where you could approve the ordinance and the agreement at the same time. So if there's any questions, I'll try to answer the legal questions. I'm not sure how many planning questions I can answer.
Bill, will the impact fees, if they ever build this out, be at the current rate?
Yeah, this is one of the development agreements that requires development impact fees to be paid at the rate they are set at the time the building permit is pulled.
Okay, so right now they're roughly 28,000, 25?
Yeah, we took our tip off. So
Okay, all right.
25.
So $25,000. So if they happen to be 28 or 29, whatever they are at the time that a building permit is pulled, when this development is finally built, they will pay that rate.
That is correct.
Okay. That's my only question. Are there any other questions?
So you would need to open up the public
Yes.
hearing. I believe there's a representative for the investors here. I don't know that he has anything to add, but he's here if you have any questions of him. And then we'll take any testimony. I'd like you to close the public hearing, introduce the ordinance, and vote on that. And then waive the first reading, then introduce, and then continue the item to the next city council meeting.
Okay, well, at this time, council doesn't have any questions, so let me now open the public hearing on ordinance number 1127. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on ordinance 1127?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Bruce Myers. I'm here representing the applicant here, and I'm available for any questions. I don't really have anything to add to Mr. Vaughn's presentation, but happy to answer any questions you might have tonight.
Any questions, Mr. Myers? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Bob
Racer Los Banos. I really only have one concern. First, I'll say I'm happy to see this is happening, but exactly what does this mean? I mean, are they extending it for 5 years, or are they going to start building right away? I mean, I don't understand that part. And the other thing is dust control. I live just due east of that. It was bad enough when we had cotton out there. We always had cotton all through it. It looked like spider webs everywhere. I'd like to make sure the city does have some sort of a control that when you're dirt farming, what I call it, that we're not having to deal with washing our car every day. That's it.
We do have dust mitigation, but City Attorney, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, all we're doing is extending the agreement. I don't know that there's any present plans to move that map forward. I don't know what conditions they have yet to meet to move that map forward, but it wouldn't be tomorrow. So they're asking for a 5-year extension. So I imagine what's going to happen here is the investment group is probably going to market the property to an actual developer builder who or the investment, and that person will probably final the lots, and at the time the lots are final, start building. So it could be anytime within the next year, or probably likely would be closer to the end of the 5 years, I would guess. So it gives them 5 years to meet all of the conditions. On this particular project, as far as dust control, I don't know what the standard conditions are. I know there's dust control conditions when they're out there moving dirt in terms of doing the heavy grading and all that kind of stuff, which it looks like on that parcel's already been done, but I don't know what dust control measures as the ground sits without any activity on it. Maybe Mark can answer that.
The major dust disturbance happens during the construction of the public works improvements, and they've been done. So it's lot by lot, and usually lot by lot there's not much dust control because they do it with their meters. So the major dust problem that you have seen in the past is not going to happen in the subdivision because it's mostly streets now, and the pads are at their pad grade, so they're not going to regrade the pad except strip them. And we do have improvement plans and final maps in my office right now. Awesome. To let you know.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Bob. Anyone like to speak at the public hearing on ordinance number 1127? Not seeing or hearing anyone, I will now close the public hearing, bring it back to council level. And council, Mr. Silvera, if there are no more questions, I'll entertain a motion. If not, ask questions.
One question. So if we're looking at that map, everything to the south, and I'm going to call it east of Church Street, would fall under the new L&L guidelines, and everything to the north and west of Church Street would continue under the current system. Is that safe to say there?
Yeah, because those with above Church Street look like they already have addresses, which tell me they're finaled. I noticed there's some at the very top that aren't, but I don't know how current this map is. So yes, generally speaking, those lots to the north are probably already paying an assessment, and that assessment's been established. The ones to the south, once those are finaled, they'll be paying on a pro rata basis of the cost of what's going on. So the ones to the south can't make up for the ones in the north if the north are underpaying, but they will pay their pro rata share of the whole, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and then this is kind of a crazy question, and you said you knew the legal side and maybe not the planning side. I'm just curious, when I look at that line on the eastern side of the project there's like where it just dives in, and there's no real, I guess it's not a real shape, it just kind of dives in right there, and then a little bit further down there's kind of like a half square, if you will, that comes. Is there any particular reason as to
which line are you talking about? The yellow line?
Yeah, the yellow line, just that when you look at the outline of the project there.
So right there in the middle there, is that a roundabout? Is that where you're talking about?
No, I'm sorry, I meant the west.
The west. Oh.
The western boundary of the property. See how it just...
You have two rectangles, and then right above that top rectangle is that little...
Right here, Bill.
Yeah, I see.
What's that about?
No, I have no idea why that line is that one. But Public Works has an idea, though.
The little finger, I really don't know what that is, but that probably should go all the way over to the line, not have a little finger. The other one is the continuation of that road. That's the road intersection in the future.
That one made sense to me, like the road.
I really do not know what the, I mean, I've been out there a lot, and the improvements are already, there's no little finger there that I know of, so I'm sorry I can't address that one. It might just be a line error.
Yeah, it could just be artistic. Very good.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a pretty big. Mrs. Stonegrove?
I have just a question about the landscape and lighting district. So tonight we're just dealing with this area in the yellow, and they have agreed to the new updated terms for the landscape and lighting district. Will we have an opportunity later for the rest of this area plan that's in the red to talk about landscape and lighting terms when that time comes?
Interesting that you should bring that up. I think if I go back to the other map, immediately to the east of what you're looking at tonight is Villages 4. And that area is a bigger area. I think it goes all the way to Ortigalita and all the way down to, I think that's Pioneer Road. And we'll be asking to get the same line. They're running out of time as well, and they're asking for an extension, and we've requested or negotiating the same language for them that we're asking for tonight on the rest of Villages 2A and 3. So, yes. And I'm not aware of any other maps out there. And at the time those maps come in, we would be asking for our typical language that we're using now in terms of the lighting and landscaping district. So it's a long answer to your question. The short answer is yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, Mr. Silvera?
Okay, let me read what I'm... So, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to waive the first reading of ordinance number 1127 as stated by title.
Ms. Freya?
Second.
Okay. Motion by Silvera, second by Faria to waive the first reading of ordinance number 1127 as read. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None. Carried. Mr. Silvera?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to continue.
Make a motion.
Make a motion. Introduce.
Oh, I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance number 1127 as stated by title.
Mr. Faria?
Second.
Motion by Silvera, second by Faria for the introduction of ordinance number 1127. And Jana, could we please have a roll call vote?
Faria?
Yes.
Lewis? Yes. Silvera?
Yes.
Stonegrove? Yes. Belalta?
Yes.
Then if we could have a motion to
You want to continue this? Okay.
continue the public hearing.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing to April the 1st.
Mr. Faria? Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion by Silvera, second by Faria to continue this item, ordinance number 1127, to April 1st. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None. Carried. All right, let's go on to item 8. Consideration of adoption of City Council Resolution number 5646, authorizing the city manager to execute a professional services agreement with J.B. Anderson Land Use Planning for preparation of California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, compliance documents for the Presidential Estates East project, approximately 111 acres, located north of Pioneer Road, east of Mercy Springs Road, south of Pioneer Road, and west of 11th Street, and a reimbursement agreement with Stonefield Communities Incorporated and amending the 2014-2015 budget by increasing the community and economic development revenues and expenditures in the amount of $34,348. And let's go to Assistant Planner Elms.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this request is coming before you tonight because the city received an application from Stonefield Communities, Inc. for the annexation and pre-zone of approximately 111 acres. So the proposal, because we received this application, the city is obligated to process this. And to do so, we need to first start off with an environmental study. And so we went out for proposals. We requested proposals from 4 planning firms. Out of those firms, we received 3 proposals, and we evaluated those proposals and then determined that J.B. Anderson Land Use Planning to be the best qualified and the most responsive proposal. In addition, they were also the lowest bid proposal. And a part of this CEQA process, what J.B. Anderson would be doing is they're going to be evaluating aesthetics, agricultural resources, biological resources, air quality, greenhouse gas emissions, hazardous materials, water, land use and planning, mineral resource, noise, population and housing, public services and recreation. Those are all elements within an initial study which follow the CEQA guidelines. So with that, the project is the Presidential Estates East Annexation, and that is an aerial of the entire city, and if you can see what's highlighted, outlined for you in yellow, that's approximately the 111 acres, and that's in the southeast area of the city of Los Banos. The project is located north of Pioneer Road, east of Mercy Springs Road, and it's highlighted for you with that star, east of Mercy Springs Road, south of Canal Farm Shopping Center, which is south of Pacheco Boulevard, and west of 11th Street in the existing presidential the presidential subdivision. So our general plan designation and the planning boundary of this annexation is outlined for you in black on this particular map. This is our existing general plan, and this area is actually a peninsula in the city. It's surrounded by the city on 3 sides, and it's a missing piece to our current city limits. It consists of primarily low-density residential. That's all of the area shaded in yellow. And then there are commercial uses. That's the red, and the professional office is the pink use. And then there's also a little bit of a higher density mixed up in the towards the northern end of the annexation boundary area. So the process of this type of application would consist of first an agency consultation. That's what would be performed first, and that's actually what I'm doing right now to get, hopefully based on your approval tonight, our consultants working on their CEQA documents. There's first going to be an agency consultation. So we're asking all of the agencies which are stakeholders in this project to respond and provide any comments on what items they feel should be included in the initial study. This would also help us understand and evaluate those issues prior to then it being circulated and then us having to make changes after the draft has been circulated. So then we would, after receiving those comments, we would prepare an initial study. The CEQA document, the draft CEQA document, would be reviewed with, in accordance with CEQA guidelines with the Office of Planning and Research, and would be posted with Merced County Clerk's Office, and it would be sent out to all those agencies again to determine whether our draft CEQA document is in accordance with CEQA, and we've answered all of their questions. And then it would go before the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission would make a recommendation. And then it would go to the City Council, and the City Council would be the decision-making body. So there would be 2 entitlements involved in this process. There would be an annexation, and then there would be a pre-zone. So currently, the zone is A1, agricultural, which is a county designation. And for it to be annexed into the city, we would need to pre-zone it, what city land uses we would have, and that would be consistent with our general plan. That's what the applicant is proposing. No general plan amendment changes. It would be consistent with our existing vision for the city. And I'm anticipating this process to be about 4 to 6 months that would come before the City Council. In addition to City Council approval, it also needs LAFCO approval. So that would also take quite a bit of time and a process to go through. And LAFCO is the Local Agency Formation Commission through Merced County. And each annexation needs to go through them. They are the authorized body to determine whether the annexation can happen. So with that, staff is recommending that the city council allow the city manager to execute a professional service agreement with J.B. Anderson Land Use Planning for the processing of CEQA compliance documents. And then that the city would enter into a reimbursement agreement with Stonefield Communities for the funding of CEQA compliance documents. Our reimbursement agreement really provides the mechanism for an applicant to reimburse the city. And it also acknowledges that all the work that is going to be performed by the city related to the CEQA document will be under the direction of the city, but it would be at the sole expense of the applicant. And then lastly tonight, we're asking for a budget amendment. This would be to increase fiscal year 2014-2015 revenue and expenditure accounts. It would increase the revenue account, which is Community and Economic Development's zoning and planning account, by $34,348. And then also increase that parallel account, which is our expenditures account of professional services, for the amount of $34,348 as well. So that includes my presentation, and I'm here to answer any of your questions.
Are there any questions for Assistant Planner Elms at this time? Stacy, you mentioned mixed use. So there's commercial, there's R1, and is there R2 in there also?
There is a R2 component on the northern end, and I believe at the time that the general plan was designed, it was thought that because that piece would be closely to the high school, that possibly it could be a housing complex for teachers and maybe a townhouse type of living.
Okay.
That's what I recall being a part of those general plan discussions. All the commercial uses are really would be south of the Canal Farm Shopping Center,
right,
and then facing Mercy Springs.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions? If not, I can now entertain a motion. Mr. Freya.
I would move to adopt City Council Resolution number 5646 as read by title.
Mr. Silvera?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Faria, second by Silvera to adopt City Council Resolution number 5646 as read. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? None. Carried. Okay, let's go on to item 9. Report on 4th of July fireworks event. Mr. Carrigan.
Thank you, Mayor. At the end of last July, I met with the Chamber Director, and she informed me that the Chamber would be no longer putting on the 4th of July celebration. And I spent the fall and the winter looking for a partner. I visited with business owners, people that put on events in Los Banos, residents, just to get a feel for their thoughts on the 4th of July. And I even tried to get one event to move from a fall date to a 4th of July date so we could be on their committees and fundraise with them and work with them, but their board met and chose not to move their event from the fall to the 4th of July. So I was unsuccessful there. Some of the costs that I wanted to point out to everyone is on fireworks alone, it's about $1,000 a minute for fireworks, so you're going to spend about $25,000 to $30,000 just on fireworks. You need to rent a location, insurance, you have planning costs. I know Cassandra's looking at me because she went through all this with the Veterans Parade. There's costs associated with putting on the event, cleaning up the event, and there's also labor costs. And I do want to point out that the Chamber was able to put on this event for years because they had Chamber members working on it, and they had volunteers working on it. We have to pay our workers. So the total cost to put on a 4th of July event, the numbers are going to run in the neighborhood of $75,000, and that's all general fund money. So the City Council, the Finance Department, and I have been saying for the last year that the city is healthy and not wealthy, and this is a perfect example and a perfect time to bring that up. Some of our top priorities this year for our budget are going to be to move 5. We still have 5 employees in Measure K. We need to move them to the general fund. So we're trying to work on that and figure that out. We've been able to move some of them over, but we still have 5 to go. We're looking at a piece of property over on G Street that we'd like to purchase for a future police station. If anyone's been in the police department, it's I think it's about run its course on its useful life. And we've also done a total compensation study. You're going to hear more about that in the coming months here. We're trying to find a way to do something for our current existing employees. So those are really our top 3 priorities right now. And I want to remind everyone that each employee costs the city about $75,000 to $100,000 per employee, depending on the level of the employee. And I'm talking salary and benefits. So every time we stop or we spend $75,000, it's taken that much longer to get those Measure K employees into the general fund. I'm in the home stretch here. The biggest struggle I've had over the last 5 to 6 months on this project is to try to figure out, do we want to put on an event, or do we want to move another employee, a Measure K employee, to the general fund? And it's a struggle, because who doesn't like the 4th of July? But we also have these items that aren't sexy, and they're not things that people are going to throw a parade for. But if we don't talk about these Measure K employees, or if we don't talk about this piece of property that we're looking at buying, if we don't talk about our employees who have given for years and years, again, every time we spend money, it just takes longer to get to those priorities, and it's harder to reach them. So it's been a real struggle, and this one has been very hard for me, but we're not in a position to put on a 4th of July celebration. We're just not, and we do have other budget priorities at this time. So I did not have a recommendation, because I was hoping to come up with something even at the last minute, but nothing happened. So we're looking for some direction. I know this is not anything that anybody up here truly wants to do. If this was easy, we would have done it. But I truly believe that we have some things that we need to do. We're going back to we're healthy but not wealthy. We're going to have a budget workshop on May 26th, and then we'll come back in June with some more budget meetings and adopt a budget in that second meeting in June. So you'll hear a lot more detailed about some of the things that I've just mentioned, but right now I just don't think we're in a position to put on this 4th of July celebration.
Thank you. I know we've discussed this over and over again. Mr. Freya, you have something you'd like to?
Oh, sure. Well, the history, if you go back and remember 30 years ago, the 4th of July was put on the 3rd of July. The fireworks were put on the 3rd by JCPenney. And they put them on for a number of years. And then, because people left town so much for the 4th of July, the town had 10,000 people, JCPenney donated the money out of the goodness of their heart and as a public service. And then went over to the Chamber of Commerce. And the Chamber of Commerce, if you've ever worked a fireworks booth, you know that they're a great deal of work and are in really poor conditions. Very, very long hours and a great deal of heat. Now, clubs that put in for that drawing really benefit, because there's a lot of money to be made. And so if you're a nonprofit, you know, the $15,000 to $20,000 to $25,000 you can make in a fireworks booth is really a good chunk of change. With the chamber, of course, which now I can comment on this because it's not in the chamber's hands, and my wife works for the chamber. The chamber would put in all the hours, and then essentially the money would go to the fireworks, and that's what they would do. They would do that as a public service, but it does take a great deal of time, and you almost never have enough people to cover all the work that has to be done. And you're there till 1 or 2 in the morning on the 4th of July finishing up, because you have to get the fireworks out of town that night because of our ordinance. So financially it's a tough one. What I'm thinking is, if we do the math on the town, there's 37,000 people. It would cost about, I would say 10,000 households. So we're looking at $7.50 a household. If we look at, and what I would think would be a good idea to do, since staff has worked really hard, and I know you guys have been crunching numbers here and there, and we've all been crunching numbers because, as we've said before, we're healthy, we're not wealthy. We're starting to grow, but we're holding our own. We don't know yet how well we're going to do with this new boom, so we have to be cautious. But I think it would be a good idea to perhaps use kind of an exploratory committee to see what the possibilities are. You know, if Penny's was willing to do it years ago, maybe there are other businesses in town that would like to chip in, and maybe there could be some fundraisers that could be done, made through the city, if there's some things that the city might like to do for their various departments if they like, or different groups in town would like to have some kind of input. I think a council, maybe council staff combination exploratory committee to see what the possibilities are to bring it to life. And the reason, to me, it's an important event. We all have children, we all have parents, we all have aunts, and we all have uncles and brothers and sisters. And birthdays have always been a big deal in my life, and I know they're a big deal in everyone else's lives. Well, the 4th of July is the most important birthday in the United States. And I think we need to be able to find a way to put on a birthday party for our country. And I think that the general public, the people in Los Banos, would like to see that. We won't know that for sure unless we have some kind of exploratory committee to reach out. And I think it'd be a great idea to use a committee and then go out, find out what's out there, give the committee a month, report back and see what the possibilities are. Maybe there'll be some philanthropists, benevolence, to like to donate nice sums of money to help, or the general public. Maybe there's some input there that the people would like to see. But I think it would be a great opportunity for us to find out whether it's feasible, rather than tapping the general fund and costing us a full employee, which, as we know, we're trying to bring those people back. So, Mayor, if you would entertain a motion in this situation, I would move that way to give direction to form an ad hoc committee from council and staff to pursue the potential funding of the fireworks.
Mrs. Stonegrove?
I just want to say, I think it would be a real shame to see the fireworks show go. I guess I don't think that the city should be the city's responsibility. The city manager spoke about his efforts that he's made in the past several months, and I think we've all had conversations with him and know how hard he tried to work with groups in the community, you know, to keep this event going above and beyond the scope of his job. I don't have a problem with groups in the community raising money or trying to get donations from businesses. I don't think it's our responsibility to spearhead that or to use any more staff time to try to get that established. I would love to see the fireworks happen, but if it's going to be, you know, we need to have private donations. I think there should be, you know, private groups that come together and step up with that, because we have an obligation to our employees. We have an obligation to the citizens here, to the voters, with Measure K and bringing those employees back. And I just don't think this should be the city's responsibility.
Mr. Silvera?
And I too would hate to see the fireworks show go away, but the reality of it is that is it just a one-year Band-Aid? And it seems like that's what the chamber struggled with. It's every year. Since I've been up here, there's the Patriots Club that they were trying to raise money there, and then, you know, they were trying different things on the day of the fireworks show, and when they moved over to Pacheco and having food vendors there and trying to raise extra money. And to me, if there's a group out there that wants to spearhead it and wants to try to save it, then I mean, as my own self, not as a councilman, but I'll do everything I can to try to help you. But I just think that we're going to keep revisiting this, and I agree with you, Mr. Free. It is the United States' most important birthday, but this is what we've been facing for the last 2 or 3 years. The chamber finally, God bless them, had enough. They didn't want to continue down the road because it was a struggle every year, and that's what concerns me, is that it's going to, maybe we save it for 1 year, and then we're going to be having this conversation again next year, because the reality is the $75,000 is a lot of money. And it's not just, if it was just the $25,000 for the 25 minutes of fireworks that you get to see, then that's an easier pill to swallow. I think that's an easier number to raise. This community has proven that they're a very generous community. But as much as I know, the chamber knows that it's not just the $25,000 that it takes to put on the 25-minute fireworks show. And the chamber had the benefit of having, God bless them, all those people that were, like you said, are going out there. It's hot out there, and they have to have somebody there 24 hours a day for protection. This is I'm talking about the fireworks booths in town, and the city had one booth. The chamber was guaranteed a booth. The rest of the booths it was on a draw system. They on a lottery system. The chamber had one booth, and that booth was theirs because they put on the fireworks show. So I don't know how much more can be done, and I think I'm going to have to say I agree with Mrs. Stonegrove on it that it's how much more can we do? If there's a group out there that's listening that wants to try to take this project on, then please come talk with the city manager, talk with the mayor, call me, call one of your council people, and we could probably set something up then. But I just think I hate to say this, but I think that this is something that we may put a committee together, and we're going to have this exact same talk in a year from now.
Mrs. Lewis, if I might make a statement first before you speak, is that all right? You know, I'm listening to these conversations, and let me morph what Mr. Faria just said, what Mr. Silvera said, what Mrs. Stonegrove is going to say, and probably you're going to say. And Mr. Kerrigan, our city manager, has tried for many months to find a group to host this project. It's now out in the open. And as you can see, the city can't afford to dedicate those type of funds to keep a fireworks show going. The Chamber of Commerce, let me give them just an excellent plug for, Jerry, do you remember how many years, Jerry Canuster, how many years the fireworks show was
15.
I'm going to say 15 or more.
About 15.
Yeah. Okay, 17. All right. And let's say at an average, I know when it started, I think the show was $15,000 when it started, and now it's up to about $25,000, $30,000. So all those years at the Chamber of Commerce and donations, it's exemplary. And it just seems like service and the amount of dedication and getting a number of people to work, and I've worked that fireworks booth, and sometimes you get a lot of people, sometimes you don't. Mr. Faria, excellent suggestion. Mr. Silvera, good take on this. And what I'm thinking is, let's give it a couple of weeks, and let's see if groups want to come forward. Let's see if there are individuals out there that really want a fireworks show this year. The city will assist any way it can with in-kind services. And last year, we did some things to try and help the fireworks show to get off its feet, and it did. And the chamber was able to raise the money again. So I'm thinking, with the council's permission, if we could give it a couple of weeks, see if there are interested parties out there, and they could contact our city manager and let them know if they'd like to set up something, and then we can help in that way. If people, it has to come from the community. And if there are organizations, if there are groups, I'm looking at Allied right now, because they donated almost $3,000 or $4,000 last year to the fireworks show. And Eric, if you know of groups or anyone, if way we could raise the funds, or if there are other groups out there that would like to do it, I'd sure like to come to a meeting like that and make some suggestions. And I know our city manager would come, and any way we could help facilitate, we could. But as far as funds, putting them forth from the city, at this time, we're just not able. So I'm going to let Mrs. Lewis speak for a second, and then we'll get back.
Well, I think everything's been said, and I have to agree with Councilman Stonegrove, is that it really isn't the city's responsibility to do this. We have obligations that are already set forth that we have to take care of, and it's extremely important to get the Measure K people back where they belong. I know I've done some research at some other cities on other issues, and cities couldn't afford to do what the citizens wanted them to do. So the motivation came from citizens in that community getting together, and it was just a handful in the beginning, brainstorming as to how they were going to accomplish what they wanted to get done. So this is a situation here where the same thing is going to happen, where our citizens come together, brainstorm, and figure out a way to get this done. And Los Banos has been very generous in a lot of ways of donating money, the citizens of Los Banos, the residents of Los Banos, to donate money, and various organizations. So this has been a big event in our town. I feel really positive that maybe it won't happen this year, but maybe next year, that there'll be enough effort that will come forth to make sure that we can continue with the fireworks for our 4th of July. So that's my take on it.
Okay. Do any of the council members have a problem with asking for citizen input for 2 weeks and see if anyone contacts the city manager? And Ms. Stonegrove, you okay with that?
That's fine with me. I guess my take is just that the city, doesn't have involvement in it. If there's a donor or someone that wants to come forward a month from now and put it on, as long as they go through the appropriate steps, as long as it's a private organization that's,
I think that's what we're getting at. Yeah. And I think that's what Mr. Faria, was that kind of your intent, to see if there were groups out there that
Yeah.
Is that on?
Let's try that again now. Well, I think that if we appeal to the public some way, I think that the public would come through. But let's bring it back in a couple of weeks and see what kind of feedback we get.
Okay.
Some ideas. I have a number of ideas, and I imagine a lot of other people do. The Chamber of Commerce, until last year, they actually lost money on that fireworks show, and they lost a pretty good chunk of change. They came out, it cost them a lot of money, and whoever puts it on, it's a financial loser. It's one of those things, you sense your money in reality goes up in smoke. But frankly, I would be extremely disappointed, saddened, disheartened, if a town of 37,000 people, a city representing 37,000 people, could not move forward to bring forth the 4th of July fireworks, even if it's not a Ferrari, as Mr. Kerrigan would say, even if it's not a Cadillac. But the thought of going dark on the 4th of July in this town would break my heart, and it'd break the hearts of a lot of other people. I've taught long enough to have had a whole bunch of veteran students go off to war and come back. Some of them so messed up in the head, they can't even think straight. And when they see the flag, and when they see the fireworks, it kind of says, yeah, somebody appreciates what we did.
Thank you, Mr. Faria. Please contact our city manager if you have any ideas or would like to help spearhead a group to help us fund the fireworks show this year, and then we can hopefully continue these discussions. And it's kind of an emotional issue that after all these years, but just know that the Chamber of Commerce was the group in charge of this for the last 15 years. And it was a Herculean effort in order to raise that money every year. The city did not contribute funds to the fireworks show. It was totally a sole and private obligation for the citizens of Los Banos to have our Chamber of Commerce raise that money. So please make no mistake, that's where the money came from for the last more than 15 years. And before that, the JCPenney Corporation would put on the fireworks show. So We know economic times have changed. It's harder to raise money, but we're appealing to you. And if you don't contact Mr. Kerrigan, contact Mr. Faria, me, any of the council members, and then we'll direct them to our city manager. But we'd sure like to carry this out again this year, and if there's some way we can help, I know we can, but right now, contributing funds would be out of the question.
Chief Marison.
Oh, Chief Marison.
I just think it's important to note and make sure that it's loud and clear that what you are proposing here is in reference to just a public display, and that the 7 nonprofit Safe and Sane fireworks booth are still authorized to proceed on the 4th of July, so there is plenty of opportunity for our citizens to celebrate the 4th at home with safe and sane legal fireworks. That is not part of what we're talking about. So I just thought it'd be important to make sure that the public is aware that that is still legal and will be accessible to them on 4th of July.
Yeah, is there 7 booths? Are there 7 booths?
Yeah, the chamber was guaranteed one, and then 6 that went through the process of getting selected, and the ordinance specifies 1 booth per 5,000 occupancies in our city, so it's still at 7 booths. So we decided to stay with 7 rather than reduce to 6.
Correct. No, I don't think there was any mention ever of removing any of the booths. They're still for the nonprofits who would like to raise money this year, and this is the public display that was put on by the Chamber of Commerce, totally separate from everything else. And those fireworks are not legal to shoot off unless you are an authorized pyrotechnics expert. So if you shoot off the other ones during the 4th of July, you could face a fine of, what, $1,200? I'm sorry, I'm $50 off. $1,250. And we collected on a few of those. So, okay, this is where we're at right now, and we'll discuss a little later. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mr. Faria. Okay, let's go on to item 10, appointment of commission member to the Parks and Recreation Commission, 1 vacancy expiring December 31st, 2015. And it's my pleasure to bring forth the name of Eric Limon. Wave your hand, Eric. And to fill that position expiring December 31st, 2015. And I would make that motion. Mr. Faria?
I'll gladly second that motion.
Okay. Motion by the mayor, second by Faria. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None. Carried. Congratulations, Eric. Okay, let's go on to item 11, Community and Economic Development Presentation. Assistant Planner Elms.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. So tonight I wanted to go through currently what's happening in the Community and Economic Development Department, what's going on with the city, and our projects that we're projecting for the year. The first project I wanted to highlight, it's not a city project, it's a state project, but it's the Los Banos Courthouse. And this project is about 32,844 square feet. It's a 2-story structure. And they are looking to begin construction approximately May 1st and would be going to July 2016. So it would be May 1st of 2015 this year in the spring and to July 2016. Currently, they're going through a process of a noise variance. Recommendation of approval was granted by the Planning Commission, so this will be coming before the City Council on April 1st to allow construction noise to start at 5:30 a.m., whereas the code only allows this at 7 a.m. construction start time for noise. So that will be coming before you, but this is an exciting project for the city to see to come to fruition. This would be located on G Street near Santa Rita Avenue. We look forward to construction happening there. The next project is the junior high, the new junior high, and this is approximately 15.42 acres. It's located on the corner of Mercy Springs and Badger Flat Road, so it's in between, it's Prairie Springs Road, and it's in between Badger Flat Road and Ortigalita Road. It'd be south of Target and the old Lowe's building. It's projected to be about 77,084 square feet, consisting of about 33 classrooms and accessory buildings, including a library, a gymnasium, and it would house about 980 students, which would be about 7th to 8th grade ages. And the construction is anticipated to last about 12 months. Currently, they are starting the grading process, and this is a picture taken about a week ago out at the site. And so they've been grading, moving dirt around, and getting the site ready for construction. So some exciting projects going on. And next, I just wanted to highlight a new banner that is now residing downtown. And I wanted to thank our Public Works Department for all their help with putting that up. This banner, it says, "Welcome to Downtown, the heart of Los Banos." And the purpose of the banner was to encourage economic development downtown and to encourage people to come to downtown and to create an identity for the downtown location. Whereas, some people, we've heard criticism from people that, we didn't even know you had a downtown, and so we just wanted to give it an identity and let those merchants downtown know that they are the heart of Los Banos and we do truly care about them. So moving on, we do have some exciting things happening with Walmart. And this photo, I want to thank our fire department. They got their fire truck with the big ladder on it and took these pictures for us. This is a solar panel project for Walmart. Solar City did this project in partnership with Walmart. And so those are individual solar panels that are on the roof of our Walmart, which is exciting. I did meet with the manager of our Walmart store, and he did say once it gets fired up by PG&E, which he was hoping to be in about a month from when I had spoken to him, that in just that immediate fire up, they were going to hopefully experience a reduction of about 30 to 40% in their energy. And then during peak months, so that would be in the peak summer months and the peak winter months, they would see a reduction of about 60 to 70%. So very exciting, and we look forward to possibly more businesses being able to have this opportunity to also have this type of energy efficient use of solar panels. Next is another project that Walmart is also working on. So they're completing their super center expansion. Although it's been open to the public, they are completing some punch list requirements that the city needed to go through just to ensure that they were finalized. But a part of that is this shopping cart wheel lock system. And this was actually due to a part of, a letter that the mayor sent to all of our merchants with shopping carts, encouraging them to help mitigate the issue of stray carts around town and to hold their carts, be responsible for their carts and pick them up. And so the Walmart manager let me know that currently right now they do have a cart roundup business that helps them locate these rogue carts around town, and this is about 4 times a week. But also in the process, they will be hopefully securing funding to apply wheel locks to their existing carts that they have. And this is waiting approval, but they're anticipating in July to be able to do this project. And what they're going to be doing is building an invisible line around the project boundary, around the perimeter of Walmart. And once you cross that line, that one wheel on that shopping cart will lock, and you won't be able to move it. So it's a great step towards cleaning up the city, and the Community and Economic Development Department and the city in general is excited for this. This is the first business, well, actually the second business, because Food for Less also has the cart lock system, but the first since the mayor's letter to take the initiative to step up and help with the issue that we have in town. As a part of future commercial projects, businesses coming into town with carts. It will be a boilerplate condition of approval that they will have to have a mitigation plan to keep their carts on site. So we are going to be locking down on this issue in the future. So an exciting issue for the city right now is what we see happening with our residential building permits. Currently right now, I just want to give you a forecast, kind of what happened in 2014. For our single-family residential issuances, we had 9 in the Regency Park subdivision, and we had 28 in the Orchard Terrace 2 subdivision. So that gave us a total of 37 total issuances in 2014. Prior to that, and I really wanted to give you a snapshot of what's happened in the past quarter to since the last time I've done a presentation for you to what's happening in the first quarter of 2015. But if I backed up and went to 2013, we had about 17 permits pulled. That was in Teal Landing, and that was because the development agreement was expiring. It wasn't really market-driven. That development agreement was expiring, and they needed to secure their fees, their development impact fees, at the rate of the development agreement. So what we actually see in 2014 is more of a true indicator of where the market's at. These developers have been pulling these permits and testing out the market and pulling them as they feel comfortable that the market is coming back. So also what we see in 2014 for single-family residential finaled permits, we had 3 so far in Orchard Terrace 2. These are their model homes. And then we had 4 in Teal Landing, which is the Anderson homes. And then in 2015, what we've just seen from January to March, we've seen 5 pooled in Regency Park, and we've seen 11 in Vineyards Units 17 and 18, and this has given us just up to March, up to today's date, 16 issuance. So we're looking pretty good right now. And then for finals, we're looking at so far 5 in Orchard Terrace 2 and 5 in Teal Landing, which gives us 10 finals this year. And UC Construction, which started building in Orchard Terrace 2 and is going to be rolling over to Vineyard Units 17 and 18, started with an anticipation of pulling 2 permits a week, essentially. And now with the projections in the market, they're looking to pull 3 a week, which is great for us, great for the city. So by the end of the year, based on these types of projections, and I'm using a very conservative number, I'm thinking we're probably going to get about 50 permits issued. That is super conservative. And I know that it will be over 50, but I would say at a minimum we're going to be at 50 by the end of 2015, which is exciting. Prior to 2013, the 8 years before that, we had 0 issuances. So Orchard Terrace 2, so I wanted to highlight where this construction is happening. You've heard me speak about these different subdivisions. I kind of want to highlight where it's all happening. So it's highlighted for you with that star on the aerial of the city. This is really on the northwest quadrant of the city. These are just some construction pictures. You can see there is, what's great is to see the construction workers out there working, people working, having jobs, and the industry moving. This is a sold sign. There's several, and this is on Sunburst Street, so there's several sold houses already. That's trusses being put onto the residential dwelling unit. The next one is Regency Park Estates, and that's highlighted for you in that star, and it's on the northeast quadrant of the city. And all of these subdivisions that I'm mentioning for you, they're all finaled streets. They have all of the infrastructure, streets, sidewalks, curb gutter, water, sewer, everything is ready to go. They've been mapped for years, essentially paper lots ready for building permits to be issued. So this is was taken a couple weeks ago of the construction happening there. So it's framing, and there's various houses in different stages. And so far, what's been issued is 12 permits in this entire subdivision. It consists of about 146 total mapped out. So they are just going as the market dictates. They will not have any model homes. They're just building as the market dictates. The next one is Vineyard 17 and 18. And this is on the northern end of town. It's off of Mercy Springs. And they are starting to grade right now. There's sticks in the ground ready to lay foundation. And they've really just cleared out and gotten the dirt moving around to prepare for the foundations to be poured. So that really concludes what's happening right now. I did want to highlight for you what's in the pipeline, what we're projecting to happen right now. So with residential activity happening, we will see commercial activity start to trickle and start to come in. It's always going to start with the residential development first. And so what I see coming, and some applications that I do have submitted over the counter, is a development of it's over 17,000 square feet, 99-cent store. This is going to be located on the southeast corner of Ortegalita Road and Pacheco Boulevard. Also some other developments that are in the pipeline that I do see coming forward as well. So by the end of the year, we should, the Planning Commission should be seeing some commercial development projects come forward, and those will be built up, total built up from the ground up. And then also, developers are dusting off their tentative maps. And most of these areas are all areas with area plans. And what we're seeing, just as our city attorney presented to you tonight with villages 2A and 3, these DA extensions. So we're going to be seeing a lot of that coming forward with area plans with tentative maps. So the area plans are already in. They're just going to tentative map to create what the lots would look like. And so that concludes my presentation. I'm going to turn it over to our city manager, Steve.
I just had a couple of comments I wanted to stress. There hasn't been a lot of housing construction in the last 7-8 years. I think we all understand that. This is important to us because there wasn't a lot built last year, and we're starting to feel like we actually might get 50 built this summer, maybe more. And what does that really mean to us? We won't see the revenue or the benefit for probably 12 to 18 months. So we have to get the ball rolling, and I think the ball is starting to roll. And we're really looking forward to this summer. We're optimistic. I've asked Stacy to come back around Labor Day to tell us how the summer went and what she thinks will happen in the fall. She spends a lot of times with the builders and developers. So we should have a real nice presentation around September, first week in September from you. But we're optimistic. We're excited about the summer, but I have to stress, we'll see that revenue or that benefit from this little bit of a housing bump about 12 to 18 months from now, and that's revenue into our general fund from people that are employed. They start to feel better about themselves. They start spending a little money in the community. They fix their roof. They fix their car. You know, they put the braces on the kid. But they've been kind of in a holding pattern the last 4, 5, 6 years, and so fingers crossed, Stacy. We'll see you in September. Thank you.
Stacy, thank you for bringing us up to date on the, especially the shopping carts. I mean, the building is so very important, and what's happening with the courthouse, and hoping the commercial area will expand around the courthouse after that construction starts there. But the shopping carts, I just want to tell you, if you see shopping carts in your neighborhood or anywhere in town, call Public Works ASAP, because the guy is here 4 days a week. These carts are being picked up right away now, and I know I called the other day and just left a message because I saw 3 of them and they were gone the next day. And so they have Public Works is not picking them up. There's a private vendor. So the city is not spending the money. What the city is doing is facilitating the pickup and getting the list and notifying the vendor where the carts are. And thank you for doing that, Mark. I appreciate it. And it's going to take care of this. And for those constant offenders, then we'll be asking what else we can do to curb some of this, because it's been a long time. Now we're going to get a handle on it, and that's just one of the things that we're doing. Our City Manager Kerrigan will be back in the next months to tell you what else is being done for cleanup efforts around town that I don't want to come out with right now, but these are things that that need to be done, and I'm glad that the city staff, the way they are just coming together. When we see a problem, if a council member sees a problem, city staff is right there to help us and to make sure that whatever we can do. It's always, when I walk in, I think the city council members walk in, it's how do we get the yes, not blowing us off on what we're seeing. So thank you, staff. All of you are working together well, and it's just it's making our town look better. Mrs. Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Stacy, I want to thank you for your report, and especially the shopping cart. I also want to make a comment that I see less shopping carts around town now since the private vendor has been working with some of the businesses than I have seen even at the beginning of this year. So it's been a relief for our community. It helps the quality of life and the value of people's property not to have shopping carts sitting around in their neighborhood or in neighborhood parks. One of the things you did mention, Stacy, is that in the future the city would be working with businesses as they come in regards to shopping cart issues. Now, we do have shopping centers here that are owned by, maybe one owner that houses multiple businesses. Do we have anything that we could look at it as a city for possibly when those shopping centers come up for remodeling, that could be a condition of approval? And, perhaps maybe is there something the city's thinking about in regards to working with individual businesses that have shopping carts?
So we are, and this was initiated by the mayor, encouraging the individual business owners to take the initiative to help keep their carts on site. But in the future, so any sort of type of entitlement that would go through the Planning Commission would then have this boilerplate condition. This is going to be for all commercial businesses, and actually really the first one up to bat is the 99-cent store that's going to be coming through. So that'll be our first commercial business with this condition of approval added to it. We do have an ordinance in place existing, so maybe there could be a readdressing that ordinance possibly in the future and to see what we can do to help our issue existing.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
So, Stacy, thank you for the presentation. And probably one of the things that I'm most excited about is yes, I realize that, these houses coming in are going to, benefit the city in the long term. It's going to increase, some revenues to the general fund. But I think what I'm most excited about is that some of these neighborhoods that are looking at, they're not finished. They're one side of the street there's houses, and the other side of the street there's not houses because they were just one of the last ones to be built before the crash. And so I'm excited for those neighborhoods to finish out, so that they're not looking just at dirt lots anymore. And so I think above all, and I hope that the economy continues to grow, and I hope that people can continue to afford to buy houses. And it's a different market out there. It really is today, because the credit market is different. Some people might not like to hear this, but it used to be if you had a pulse, you could get credit. And today you have to go through a lot more restrictions, and so I don't foresee us going back to building 750 houses a year for quite some time, if in my lifetime. But I'm excited about it. I think I think that they're really these developers are taking the right approach. We don't need an influx of just vacant homes that nobody wants to live in. Just this slow go approach that as the market dictates, they're going to keep adding units. I think that's great, and I'm happy for those neighborhoods that you showed up there on the map a little while ago, that those folks are going to finally get to see those developments built out, because all of those are part of a larger development that isn't just a new development that has never had a house in it. So that's the part I'm most excited about. Thank you for the update, and I look forward to the one that we're going to have in September.
Mr. Freya.
I'm pleased to see the growth is controlled and not too fast, nice and easy. And I'm also pleased to hear that staff informs us that we are getting the fees that we need. And I don't support any growth that we don't get our fees for services for the life of the development, so that we don't end up like we have with some of our subdivisions now that can't pay their way because of the way they were structured. And I'm pleased to see that we're doing these. We're filling in these empty areas. We have pads. We have pulled services, and we heard earlier tonight, have an open area there. It's causing dust and whatnot. We get those nice areas filled, and as we plan, we have neighborhoods. We work to continue to grow neighborhoods and communities. So I'm pleased to see this approach. I hope that we keep this. And just because someone wants to build a whole bunch doesn't mean we have to let them. We have the control. It's up to us to make sure that we keep that control at a reasonable amount so that everything can keep up with it. And I'm very pleased to see how staff is handling that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Freya. Okay, any other comments? Thank you, Stacy. Advisement of public notices. Let's go back to Assistant Planner Elms.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So there's 3 notices. The first one that's going to be discussed on Wednesday, March 25th at the Planning Commission will be a large family daycare, and it will be located at 627 Vine Street. The next one is the 99-cent only store that I mentioned in my presentation, and that's about 16,154 square feet, and it's going to be a discount store. And then the next one is for a development agreement extension for Villages at Stone Creek 4. This development agreement will be expiring this year in July, and so they're requesting this extension, and the Planning Commission will be making a recommendation to the City Council.
Okay, thank you. City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I have 2 things. First thing, I'd like to thank Mark Fajan, Chief Marison, and Chief Breezy. Last Friday, Stacy and I took all the planning commissioners on a tour of the Madison Street Yard, the Fire Station 1, and the police station, and we had a great time. It was informative. I've been on a few of these tours, but I still learn every time I go on one. I think the planning commissioners really appreciated all the feedback I got was very, very good. So, gentlemen, thank you, and thank the staff too, because they really they made it worthwhile, and it was just really well done. We're looking forward to hitting the airport, a couple other stops, community center, probably a few months from now. And the second and last thing I have is Councilmember Stonegrove. I know that baby's coming. We hope to see you on April 1st, but if we don't, we know where you're going to be. April 6th, April 8th?
April 6th.
April 6th, okay. Well, good luck, and we'll be thinking about you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. All right, let's go on to city member reports, and tonight we'll start with Mr. Silvera.
Yeah, I got a couple things for tonight. Number one is, I don't know if you, over there where the new courthouse project is I visit the California Dairies, the Dairyman store. I visit that at least 3-4 times a week. And I just want to give them credit is they know the courthouse is coming in, and they're doing a little remodel on their facility. They're updating it, which it hadn't been other than when the name changed from San Joaquin Valley Dairyman to California Dairies. They changed the sign on there. In my lifetime, I've never seen it change, and so they're putting a little bit of facelift on there and painting, and it looks really nice. So kudos to those guys for, they're welcoming their soon-to-be new neighbor with the courthouse into the neighborhood by, showing them that they're stepping up their game too. So kudos to those guys. I'm going to keep reminding you until the time. Fair time's coming up. It's going to be here before you know it. This year it's April the 29th through May the 3rd. And I had Jerry, do you know the theme this year is a timeless tradition, I believe is what it is. But I just wanted to remind people that starting April 1st, you can purchase discount admission tickets, discount ride tickets at the fairgrounds, at the fair office, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And those are on sale until the 28th of April at 5 o'clock. And the last thing is, just, I'm friends with a lot of different people on Facebook, and one thing, being on council has afforded me the opportunity to meet a lot of different people. This past, I don't know, I want to say 2 to 3 weeks, there's been a lot of untimely deaths in Los Banos. And there's some people that are older, they've lived a long life, you expect it, but it's been a lot of young people close to my age for one reason or another. And so it just reminds me just tell the person that you love them. Make sure you tell them you love them every day, because it's sad. And I watched some friends go through some pretty bad heartbreak over the last couple of weeks. And so just keep that in mind. You just, when the good Lord calls your number, you just don't know when it's going to happen. So make sure you tell your loved ones that you love them, and enjoy life a little bit, because in some of these folks' circumstances, it literally was over in a day. And I don't even think when they woke up that morning that they would have ever had a thought that was going to be their last day on this earth. So just keep that in mind. Be safe out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Stonegrove.
Thank you. The only reminder I have for tonight is for the spring cleanup next Saturday, the 28th, from 7 to 2 at the fairgrounds. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go on to Mr. Freya.
Picking up there with Mr. Silvera, one of those who passed away, Shonda Roper, was instrumental in the building of the choir in the early days, and she was a very fine person, went on to become a nurse and was teaching nursing. And it's a very large heartbreak to a lot of people. If you knew Shonda, it was a heart of gold, and we're all going to miss her very, very much. She was a big part of our town and our schools and our Los Banos family. So peace to the family. I taught many of her sisters and cousins. So moving on to progress in Los Banos. We have a new junior high coming. We have the downtown banner. Still working on that mural project. That's still in the pipeline. Getting that done before too long. Walmart solar power. We know that Los Banos is way out ahead on water conservation. We're way out ahead on our public safety. We've always had first-class everything, and we're very appreciative of that. And now we're going to have a first-class courthouse, and I believe that was a decision of the governor to keep that, because a lot of those courthouses were cut, and ours was not. So I'm wondering if the governor could find some, when we do groundbreaking, if he could find some time to come down. It would be kind of cool to have him here, since it was his final decision that's making it happen. So have a good night.
Thank you. Mrs. Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Eric, congratulations on your appointment this evening. I know you'll do a great job. Well, it's not an announcement. It's an opportunity that I had to serve this past Friday at Pacheco High School for the Portfolio Day for the juniors and the seniors. And there were certain classes that are offered there that these young people were able to come forth and have mock interviews. And there were community people selected to be mock business people, and the interviewers who were interviewing them to hire them for a job. And I was really, really surprised at how well these young people did at their interviewing skills. Some of them were absolutely exceptional. And so I want to congratulate these young men and women on their efforts to dress well for the business world, be prepared with their portfolios, and to just carry themselves in a way that I would be proud to hire them if I were a businessman in the community, a business person in the community. So congratulations to the juniors and the seniors at Pacheco High School. And I want to thank their counselors for inviting me to be one of the interviewers at this particular event. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Before I start, Mark, just a reminder for water conservation, odd and even house numbers. Uh-oh, did I do something wrong? Okay.
Be honest, right?
The days for watering. I know what mine are, but I don't know what the other one is.
Saturday and Tuesday are even, and Wednesday and Sunday are odd.
Okay.
Yes. That's correct, I believe.
Okay.
And it's between the hours of 7 in the evening to 11 in the morning.
Okay. Saturday and Tuesday are even.
Yes.
Okay.
No, it used to be Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Thursday's been taken up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You guys all got me. Yes, Saturday and Tuesday are odd. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Everyone's freaking out. It's 2 days a week, and then the Sunday and the Wednesday are the evens.
Okay.
Does that make sense now? Thank you very much.
Right.
And also, it's between the hours of 7 at night to 11 in the morning.
Okay.
And the state's telling us that the same goals are set from last year at this point. There's some major drought meetings coming up for some more mandates, I'm afraid. So.
I was in the Bay Area, and I asked my mother-in-law about her water bill, and I expected a person doesn't use much water, and the water bill is somewhere between $300 and $400 a month for the Bay Area. And that's on. Then there's garbage on top of that, and then they have to separate everything out, and then your wastewater treatment. So it can amount to anywhere on a home, an average size home, maybe $400 to $500 a month. And so then I compare it to our bill, and I say, ooh, I just hope that we don't run out of water, because there's a double-edged sword. When you don't use the water, the bills aren't as high, and the enterprise fund doesn't make the money that it should. When you use the water and you spend more on your water bill, then the enterprise fund is a little more healthy. And it's just like electricity. Just because you're using electricity doesn't mean the cost is going to go down, because then they won't have the money to make the infrastructure improvements. So it's a double-edged sword for everything. And so we have to conserve right now, and to make sure that we don't get to the point that water rationing ever happens in this state. And right now they're saying we have a year's worth of water left in California. And this comes from NASA, a NASA engineer. So keep praying for rain, because we really need it. The women's safety class, women's safety in the workplace, Espana's, 12 noon, March 19th, that's tomorrow. And if I don't mention the crab feed, it's going to cost me money at Rotary on Tuesday. So the crab feed is going to be on March 27th. The tickets are $55. We sell out every year. If you'd like to come, please let us know, and we'll contact a Rotarian, and we have tickets for you. Pretty soon, thanks to Mark Fashian's crew, we're going to, the plaza will now have a ring of American flags. And 8 days a year, the flags approved through Steve Kerrigan and Mark Fashian, the semicircle now of the plaza will now have flags, American flags. On 8 days a year on 8 occasions that they'll put them out. So that's going to look really sharp. Thank you. The banner, Stacy, is wonderful. I mean, if they can't see that, what can I say? And Mark, also a compliment to I saw the guys out there resetting the pavers too, because sometimes the pavers are uneven, and then with the grates on the trees, I know those are heavy, but the guys were out there lifting everything and resetting all the pavers and making sure they were level so no one trips down the street. Thank you so much. And what was the other thing? Oh, and at the corner of 5th and 8th Street, all the cement work that's being done there, the concrete was like this. I mean, from all the trees and the roots that have by the county fire station. And the last time I think that was paved was before I was born. And yes, it was a long time ago, Mr. Silvera. And not the double, not the, I never thought I'd be hearing this. God, usually I rack Supervisor O'Banion about age, but now I'm getting it tonight. So anyway, it looks fantastic, Mark. Thank you. All that hazard has been torn out. Now when we have movie nights at the plaza, people are not going to trip in the dark, and so thank you for taking care of that. And with that, we are now going to adjourn to closed session. Conference of Labor Negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. Agency designated representative, City Manager Kerrigan, City Attorney Vaughn, City Clerk, Human Resources Director Melanie, Finance Director Williams, Legal Counsel Tufo, Employee Organizations, Los Banos Police Officers Association, LBPOA, Los Banos Police Sergeants Association, LBPSA, Los Banos Police Dispatchers Community Services Officers Association, LBPD-CSOA, and Los Banos Firefighters Association, LBFFA, and unrepresented miscellaneous employees. And if we have anything to report, we will do so at the end of closed session. Thank you.